Hey everyone, thanks for joining our live broadcast on how data liberation can unlock immediate value for your credit union. We're here today with both Ty and myself, and we want to talk about all things credit unions today. So maybe before we get started, why don't we do quick introductions? Ty, do you want to do a quick introduction on your side?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I'm Ty Robbins. I'm the field CTO for Community Financial Services here at Cinchi. And what that rather lengthy title means is that I'm here for you. I used to be a credit union professional for the last decade. And I have been trying on that side of the table to accomplish many, many things with data and systems. And it wasn't until I found Cinchi as a customer that I was able to do those things. And so after a long process of lots of success with Cinchi as a customer, I decided to come over to Cinchi and do the same thing for all of you. My goal is your success.
Awesome. Thanks, Ty. And I'm Alan. I'm going to be the MC and really starting off the conversation today. And we're going to go through quite a few stuff, but appreciate you taking the time today to join us. And so why don't we just quickly cover off a number of core things that we're hoping to kind of achieve today as a part of today's discussions. So we outline things like, are you making decisions on stale data? And what I mean by that is, are you struggling with real-time data? Are you currently looking to grow your deposit business? A common answer is always a yes for the credit union space. Are you trying to look for different ways to really grow your business, look for ways to improve the membership, get to top of wallet, grow that loan business? Are you feeling a lot of the integration pains with so much work ahead of you? Does it feel like it's always an uphill battle every time you start a new project? Is your data everywhere and nowhere all at the same time? Lots of fragmentation in your ecosystem? And are you being promised that, bringing in a large, technology like a data warehouse is going to really solve all of your problems? And so those are a number of core things that we're hoping to cover. We've kind of separated the conversation to really cover and encompass really three areas. One around the members. The second is really around the enterprise. And then the third is really around the marketing opportunities that we kind of see. So we're going to just kick it right off, and maybe Ty, give the folks a little bit about, what is Cinchi and how does it help credit union today?
I'd be happy to. Let's share my screen here. And the first thing I'd like to note is the most important thing to understand about Cinchi for all of you is that we're not ever going to ask you to rip and replace an existing system. Cinchi is a suite of technologies that allow you to augment all of your existing systems and deliver more value from the investments that you've already made. It's a very inexpensive but high value proposition set of tools that allow you to bring all of your data sources conceptually together. So what I've got on the screen right now is Cinchi's data network inside of our own operation. And I want you to think about this in terms of your operation. For your point, that yellow dot right in the middle, that's your core system. That's where most of your data lives. And all of these other dots are other systems and data sources that you want to be able to use with your core data. Cinchi allows you to bring all of those data sources into one environment, and it allows you to build them all as if they were a single data source. That's the most important thing that you can come away with today. Then imagine what you could do with all of that data behaving and related to one another as a single data source. In this picture that you see here, this is actually an interactive view of all of our data. We can zoom in. The lines between the dots is how Cinchi allows you to build a single data model out of all of your data. And when you do that, you can then use that data as if it was one data source, and that allows you so much flexibility in the way you operate, so much versatility in the depth that you can go to, and so much enrichment of the data that is in silos right now. So this is what Cinchi conceptually looks like. What you can do with it is unlimited. You can use it as a data integration hub. You can use it to fuel very rich analysis and intelligence of your business. You can use it to automate processes like address reconciliation between your lending origination system and your core and your digital banking. You can empower more users to use the data in a meaningful way. And this is very important for you to understand, you have the ability to see every single data change amongst all of these things, all the way down to single data elements. You can see that the core made a change to this address piece, the zip code, and it was done on this day, and you can even revert it. So you've got complete auditability, complete security, and a complete overview with time machine functionality to go back to original data at a single data element, all in one platform. And so that is an overview of what Cinchi is, and we can get into some targeted questions to see how Cinchi can help you. So I encourage you all, we would prefer this to be interactive, to ask your questions as we're going on, and we'll respond to those. But in the meantime, I think Alan's got a few questions for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And the easiest way to ask any questions is just go ahead and throw it in the comments, and we'll make sure that we're tracking it as we kind of progress. So let's kind of start on the membership side, and let's narrow in on, if I'm a credit union, who are our current members and what are their demographics, and how do I get to some sort of insight that kind of fits that?
Okay, that's a great one. So if this is all your data sources that could contain member data, here is a consolidated, concise, and in-depth view of what you might be able to do with that data. So what you see here is my former credit union, First Service, and this is how all of their 100,000 members are distributed across the globe. They were originally some oil and gas specific credit unions, and so we've got a lot of people that come through Houston, and you see they go back to where they came from, and it turns into a really dynamic membership to manage. So this view is a member research module that we built out for them that includes the ability, first and foremost, if you've got indirect lending, you can just eliminate all of the membership that has just an auto loan so that you're dealing with at least engaged members, and you can see the member count and total deposits change here. These are demographics that First Service wanted to follow, and clicking on any one of these will limit the view of the graph based on deposit ranges, ages, and so forth. As you can see here, if you eliminate those views, you wind up with not too many. So this is a demographic that they want to focus on. In fact, none at all. So if I reset it to default, you get a really rich view. You can see by branch. Let's see at the Galleria. How many members do they have? They have 4,146 members with $58 million in deposits. Shows a real good view of the members serviced by that branch. And you can even limit it by account type, country, city. You can really, really dig in. And more importantly, and I won't show you this because of PII, all of this can be exported as lists to be used. The way that First Service uses this is that they can set limits for specific purposes. Show me everybody who's got deposits above the threshold of insurance. And now you've got a list of 33 people that you can reach out to proactively and either sell them insurance, show them how to diversify their holdings so that all of their money is insured, or simply warn them that they have risk. There's so many different things you can do with a simple view like this. So this is a really excellent way to start the conversation about how membership can be researched and really plumb the depths of how people are interacting with you.
And so to kind of go in on that is, so what about financial products and services that really are in demand amongst that membership?
Oh, that's a great one. So in this case, they've labeled it as account type to see, whether you're dealing with businesses or whether you're dealing with individuals. But you can really go in depth, for instance, on the deposit analysis module here, and you can look at a per product summary of where the money in the credit union is and at what volume. And here you can see, the entire product catalog organized by the amount of deposits in there, so you know what your members are focusing on. And then you get this great Partridge Family view showing how each of them are part of the whole. If you just wanted to look at savings, you can go interactively just to see the savings products and how they behave. And it's similar with loans. Here's the loan module that we built at First Service. Same kind of thing. And you can see your loan distribution and how the loans are being accepted and used by your membership. And
I think, Ty, you had an amazing example of the value of this insight, but also the importance of a real-time experience.
So, that's a really good point. I'm glad you brought it up, because the reality is that all of this is updated in as close to real time as you can get with any core. And so you're looking at the current state of things right now at First Service. And there is the ability and a great example when looking at live deposits. The chief operating officer at First Service was watching a view very similar to this one that I won't show you because it's exclusively hers, but she was watching a live cash flow view, and you can get a hint of it here as the data updates over time. And she saw a CD drop by $1 million and that money land in money markets. And then when she goes to the analysis of that with the PII that I can't show you, she was able to identify the individual member who had a CD close and call that member. And he was minutes away, within the hour, he said, of moving his money to a brokerage account so that he could do some more dynamic investing. Well, she was able to have the conversation with that member, or more specifically, she got her the branch manager who is responsible for that account to call that member and describe some of the new investment products they have with their wealth management. And not only did they save $1 million from leaving the institution, that member brought in another $700,000 because of the dynamic products that he was unaware of. So you talk about depth and you talk about value in that one instance, single instance. Cinchi paid for itself 35 times over. Actually, I think it's more than that when we did the calculation. So again, a very low cost solution that augments your existing technology without being intrusive, that returned a 35 or more fold value on its cost. Cinchi can become a profit center for an institution using it this way. It's a great example. Thank you for reminding me. And again,
Yeah.
that's due to real time. If you're dealing with, your core reporting tools that you have now, generally those are a day in arrears. And there's nothing you can do a day later if somebody's making a decision about money that they're dealing with today.
Awesome. Thanks, Ty. We'll probably, given that the timing of a lot of these questions, maybe we'll ask one more question just around the membership side. Is if I'm a credit union, how could I leverage this to provide better customer service for my members?
Oh, that's a great one. So let's look at the module we built for closed relationship runoff. First Service had a merger with my former credit union, People's Trust, a little over a year ago. And we were able to analyze trends that showed that some very specific marketing maneuvers here caused some consternation within a couple of months with the People's Trust membership. And we were able to do that analysis and then reach out to the members who were disgruntled before they left. But we were able to identify the trend, correlate it with marketing moves that were made a little haphazardly, and recover a significant amount of membership. So just one view, again, has resulted in an extreme value provided by the platform that Cinchi is driving here in this analysis. And as you can see, we're now into data that suggests that people are as happy as they were prior to the merger. It also, this one breaks out into looking at the individual shares and account types that close and where the money is going. And so you can really get into a very, very tight analysis here.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Let's shift gears and we'll get into a little bit more on the enterprise side. So, if I'm a credit union, I'm trying to figure out how to streamline a lot of the, internal operations for cost of savings and driving better rates for our membership. How would I do that?
That's a great one. And another really great story for First Service. So back to the deposit totals, we created a trend map that shows their composite daily interest rate and how that affects deposits. And so this is the composite interest rate across all products based on live data. And we also are able to look at the cost of funds against that based on live data. And so as you can see, since a year ago, the cost of funds is almost doubled with First Service. And so in the instance of looking at the trends, you can see very clearly that making rate increases for money markets has not had an effect on deposits hardly at all. And so back in this range here, back in August at the last Fed change, they were able to make a decision to say, we're not going to do the typical thing. If you're sitting in ALCO, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, the Fed did a thing in order to keep everybody happy and make sure that we're on top of things. Let's match what the Fed did and raise everything by 50 basis points. That is indicative of a lot of ALCO conversations that take place. Well, now you can analyze this on a per product basis. Show me savings accounts and what happens when I change rates. How do deposits get affected? You can do the same with IRAs. You can do the same with CDs. And here's where you actually see a value. Okay. As I increase my rates, my deposits go up on CDs. So now, by making a decision of omission, by not raising rates on money markets anymore, because it has no material impact, First Service decided not to raise rates and save $500 a day. That paid for Cinchi twice over. So you're able to get, I guess the point I'm driving to here for everybody is you're able to get to value that zeroes out the cost of Cinchi. And you're able to do that almost immediately. We had some of these reports within 2 days after the data was flowing in Cinchi, and it only took really ostensibly a week and a half, 2 weeks worth of work to get the data, flowing to the platform. And in doing so, after, let's call it 3 weeks, Cinchi is helping make decisions that zeroed out its cost and have now added significant value to First Service.
Awesome. Thanks, Ty. I know, especially in the credit union world, it's really about trust and transparency. A big topic that I always see is really around fee structure. And how do you kind of drive transparency in that conversation with your members? What are your thoughts around that?
Well, another really great conversation. So when we were looking at that, the closed relationship runoff, that was exactly the mistakes that were made right here. So back in April of 22, when the merger was announced, it was very clearly stated, nobody's fees are going to change. Everything's going to remain the same or better. You're going to have exactly what you had or better. And then marketing, without context, in September sent out a fee schedule, because you are required to publish your fee schedule, but without context, the People's Trust members thought that there were going to be fees on products that they normally were not being feed on. And so we're still building this module so that we can present it to members. But the idea would be that in digital banking, for instance, when you have that liberated with the core, you can show people, here's our default fee. Here's what you're paying because you have an exception, or it's a special program or a special product, or you have the right combination of things to get that benefit. And in doing so, they would see immediately what their fees are versus what the default published fees are. And so we're building that now. But what you can see here is exactly what happens when you aren't careful about context and you aren't providing as much transparency as you can. And with Cinchi backing your systems, you can absolutely do that through any channel that's connected.
Great. So I know competition is a very interesting thing for me, and especially considering credit unions don't necessarily compete with each other, and it's really just about the other financial institutions that basically exist. So how are credit unions able to leverage something like this to do things like see if their interest rates are competitive against other financial institutions?
Well, there's a couple of ways that you can do that. And if you're interested in a very low cost way of looking at what Cinchi can do for you, we have the FinSights product. We stood this up very quickly with public data. And what this allows you to do in context is compare yourself as a credit union to any list of peers that you can create, including, I might add, the entire industry. And so and by entire industry, I don't mean just banks. I mean just credit unions. I mean also including banks. So there's a really good example of that in the context of First Service again. Here you can see that they have an upward delinquency trend and I realize you asked about rates, and I'm going to come to that. But here you have an upward delinquency trend that against the entire industry doesn't make sense. But when you filter that against just credit unions, this conversation changes drastically, because look how similar the trend is for First Service on delinquencies. And what's important to know about that is that when you're communicating with a board and you don't have context, the board is going to keep asking, why are delinquencies going up? Why are delinquencies going up? And they're going to continue to ask that. But when you have this kind of data to present compared to the entire industry or to any other list that you choose, then you actually get context that you wouldn't have had otherwise. Now, back to the original question, you can do that in the context of rates. So here is First Service's loan distribution. And here's a list that Dave, the CEO of First Service, has published. And here's how they're performing with their portfolio against the list of credit unions that he's particularly interested in, the ones that he collaborates with. And so here's a great example of being able to say, well, My data matches on rates on mortgages, but I've got 3 credit unions who are doing better than me. Actually, all of them in this case. So I've got 6 credit unions doing better than me on mortgages. I'm going to go to them because they're all CEOs who are friendly with me and that I'm friends with. And I'm going to talk to them about what strategies are they doing to help drive that kind of growth. And that conversation is actually taking place because this kind of analysis is available. Now, I can't show you this yet because we're still working on it. Alan and I are working on being able to get live rate data into the Cinchi platform to be consumed by all of you so that you can have live rate data of all of your competitors against your live core data and see a daily view of how your rates are performing compared to your peers on a literally hour by hour, minute by minute basis.
Awesome. And then maybe we'll cover off, one more question around the whole enterprise topic is really, how do we track and measure our progress towards, our long-term strategic goals? How do I get KPIs? How do I stand up metrics for my own credit union and be able to get answers to those?
Well, the truth of the matter is that when you look at a picture like this, every piece of data that you could want to measure is now available as a single data source. So the first answer is all you have to do when Cinchi is liberating your data is decide what you want to measure. And then you can have real-time tracking. That even includes systems like HubSpot or Salesforce or any other CRM, or even if you're using spreadsheets, they can be connected in both directions. That's another thing I didn't say earlier. Cinchi allows data to flow in 2 directions, which distinguishes it from virtually every other solution out there, meaning you're not just aggregating data and then looking at it. You can use Cinchi for control. You can use Cinchi to move data around. I think I alluded to it a little bit when I was talking about addresses, but that's really important in terms of all of the other systems. If you are using an external system like a HubSpot in your marketing department or a CRM to track your outbound member contacts, unless that data is available in a single place like this, in combination with your core data, you can never really know how well you're doing without a whole lot of manual work. But with Cinchi, it's all automated. But the real underlying idea to answer the question is you have it all in one place with Cinchi. And because you do, you can measure anything on any interval that you want. And with the time machine functionality, you can even go back and look at it historically in a meaningful way. And it's also critical, and this is a big gap for credit unions. When you're tracking marketing campaigns, it's virtually impossible to have any kind of an automated look to see what the impact of a particular campaign is without a whole lot of manual work. Be like, oh, I've got to get my marketing data with the campaigns, how many emails went out, what was the efficacy of that, and then actually go to the core and in most cases manually extract the data to see, well, I was pushing car loans. How many new car loans did I get? And did we even ask if that was a function of the campaign or was it just, a coincidence? You can merge all of that data and see in real time what kind of effect you're having. And so, if you were to add project management to this, that you can see how the projects directly affected product uptake. If you put in product analysis, you could see exactly, this is a great one. You could see exactly whether or not the parameters that you want to put around a product are meaningful to your members. A lot of you out there have relationship-based rewards, and those relationship-based rewards usually include parameters like, I want at least $1,000 daily balance. I want at least 10 transactions to drive top of wallet. And I'd like your direct deposits. And then to save the planet and lower costs, I want e-notices only. Well, you put those parameters here and we only have, 2, 4, 6, 8, 13 engaged members that would qualify for those rewards. So now that you put together this great idea, but nobody's using it. And so now you can ask yourself a more important question. Was it enough to build the thing? Or now do we need to promote it? Or now do we need to change the parameters to make it more meaningful, right? So there's a lot of different ways to approach how you can measure yourself when you've got the data.
Yeah, and that's a great segue because you basically already went into the marketing aspects, right? We talk about, we're moving away from the topics around enterprise, and we're starting to focus now on our marketing. If I'm a CMO inside a credit union, I'm trying to make sure that I'm, applying these strategies, but we're getting good ROI out of it. I'm looking for ways to effectively measure it. And so I think that's a really cool way to kind of measure those specific things. I know in the credit union space, financial educations is a huge topic, right? It's really about offering these. So how does a credit union measure those types of financial educations, be it webinars, be it certification programs, be it support, to be able to translate into a lot of the member behaviors?
Another really great question. I mean, the reality again comes back to what you have and what you can measure. So imagine it this way. If you treat member education as a consumable product and you have it tracked, then you can immediately connect those trainings to follow on behaviors, not just generally, because you'll know who attends a various training. You can actually watch the behavior of individual members to see if your education actually had an impact. So not only can you measure how many people received particular training, and because of the nature of Cinchi, you can connect this to your digital banking and see who's consuming your videos. You can connect it to social media placements and see who's watching videos from your social media channels. You can track the attendance at live seminars in your auditoriums and in your art lobbies. You can track who is watching and then watch their behaviors to see if the education has any impact. And that gives you, very, very rapid feedback to see what changes you might need to make there. And I'll even take that a step further because I already know it's coming. That then translates into, collecting and using systems and data for your community engagement and what those impacts could have with respect to even getting new members. Think if you saw a number of potential transactions by your members at a specific organization. Well, then perhaps sponsoring that organization could turn into an opportunity to get more members that are like-minded. That could be a church, that could be scouting, that could be another altruistic group. It could be your, it could be well, you name it. I mean, really the possibilities go in every direction.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. The data's there. It's really just about unlocking it so that you can support your members better and look for opportunities where you can add a lot of value and enrich really those members' lives as you kind of progress and build those relationships.
Let me interject a little bit really quick though, because
Sure.
I think that's it's a really important word that we can all discuss here, and that's unlock. What you see on the screen right now is all of these different data sources acting as one, but you don't have that. Even if you have a data warehouse, you don't have that. Even if you have paid for integrations over and over and over again with every new system that you buy, you don't have that. When you pay for individual integrations, those integrations are limited to the purpose they were built for. When you buy a new system, usually your integration is not the whole thing. It's specifically for a specific outcome. I got a new commercial lending platform, but because of the expense of the platform, I really am only going to integrate the delivery of balances into the core, and so on and so on. With Cinchi, and it's important, and this is why I want to bring it up, Cinchi has at its heart a standard. And the standard we're using today there are two. we are using IFX and CUFX, and they're both very similar and they're derived from one another. And when you integrate, or in our case, liberate data to the Cinchi platform, you liberate to that standard. And this is an important thing I want everybody to hear. When you liberate to the standard, that means that your point-to-point integrations are a thing of the past. So you switch your cores, you don't have to update 30 ancillary systems for the new core. You integrate or liberate them to the standard, and then when you change the core, they already work because the core standard is in place. The banking or the financial exchange standard is in place. So that is a huge value savings if you're facing a new core, or if you're considering, I mean, how many of you have actually said, I'm not going to change my LOS because it would be too big a pain to reintegrate a new one to all of my other systems? I know you have. I've done that. I've been there. I've been in your seat. I've been part of those conversations. And when you're talking about a core, I know from firsthand experience that when one particular credit union I was associated with updated their core, it was 2 years before their daily reporting worked properly again because there were so many other things to deal with. With Cinchi in the middle, they would work on day one. So I want you to keep all of that in mind, because that's really at the essence of why Cinchi works the way it does and how value gets returned so quickly.
Awesome, Ty. Appreciate that. I think we're nearly almost at time. I'll give an opportunity if anybody in the audience wants to ask any specific questions. If not, we can close this up and share some additional resources for folks that might be interested in kind of exploring and expanding their knowledge in terms of what Cinchi can basically offer. And it sounds like there isn't. So what I'll do is, looks like there's one. One of the questions was, yeah, let's go ahead.
So yeah, Chris, this is a really great question. Who uses Cinchi? Is it IT folks? Is it CU employees? That really depends on how you want to deploy it. You can make it so that Cinchi enhances all of the existing tools that employee uses so that data is enriched in all of the existing tools. Or say in the case of a new attestation or the reconciliation of addresses, you can very simply build experiences inside of Cinchi that are regulated, controlled by user, by group, however you like to do it, because Cinchi also integrates with your directory, your Active Directory structure, or whatever else you're using. But you can build those experiences in Cinchi if they don't currently exist. So you get to use your existing tool set, or learn a very simple tool set. I got up to speed in Cinchi in about 2 weeks, and I was able to start doing things inside of Cinchi as well as using tools outside of it. Very cool point to that. If you build a query in Cinchi to get a particular result, it automatically creates an API with 5 different ways of outputting the data to other systems. So you get a very simple to use graphical interface like the one I was just showing you that allows you to really use your data any way you want. And so to answer your question, IT folks, yes. Intelligence folks, absolutely. Any CU employee, if that's what you want, it's very simple to do. Or you enrich the data in the tools they know and you don't disrupt your operations. Either way. Great question, Chris. Anybody else?
Doesn't look like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly share my screen. Can you see my screen now?
I do.
Perfect. So just for the folks that are on the call, if you're interested in learning more and exploring, we have basically 2 resources right here. So there's the platform and then there's the FinSights. Feel free to click anything you'd like to learn around the platform for a lot of the internal data that you're experiencing. And then Ty had already showed during the call a lot about the bank data and credit union information, low cost, easy to get in, easy to explore, and basically get an opportunity to experience the platform. Otherwise, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. Appreciate your time, questions, and looking forward to the next one. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I really do appreciate everybody coming out. I mean, again, Cincy really does come down to a simple question. With its high value and low cost, the question really isn't why, it's why not. Cincy pays for itself almost immediately. And I believe after having used it as a customer for over a year, there's no reason not to consider what we can do for you. So reach out, give us a call. We're here to help. My goal really is your success. And Alan and I want to make that happen. So have a great weekend. Take care. I look forward to meeting you.